Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. NintendoKid here with a new Nintendo Switch game review for you. Today I'm going to show you Dungeon Rushers, a game developed by Goblinz Studio, who were kind enough to send me a review code. Is this game, as the title suggests, the worst game on the Nintendo Switch yet? Well, the answer is no, absolutely not. In fact, it's a great game. There are some really bad games out there, and this is not one of them. However, the way in which this game ended for me left me with such a bad aftertaste that I had to postpone this review, fearing that instead of a review, this turned out to be a rant. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Dungeon Rushers is a 2D tactical RPG game with turn-based combat. It features a large overworld map from which you select the dungeons or specific chapters, as the game is pretty much carved up in 4 territories. Each of these 4 regions function pretty much the same as the others, with a big difference being the monsters that are featured in the dungeons and the items that you can unlock. All of these dungeons are of course strung together by one giant storyline, which for an RPG feels a little bit too light. However, the cutscenes in between are sometimes really hilarious, and they break the 4th dimension by talking to you directly or by showing you some background information of the development team, and that is really nicely done. In total, there are about 80 dungeons or so to uncover and to play through, and the smart thing that they have done is adding in a lot of replay value, in the sense that the title Dungeon Rushers does justice to the game. You can literally just rush your way through the dungeon, clear it as fast as you can without paying any attention to any specific conditions. In this way, you can progress through the story, unlock the next dungeon, and do all the same over again. However, if you are a completionist like me, or if you're out for a challenge, you can try to complete all 3 challenges in each of the dungeons. By completing those challenges for one dungeon, you unlock the heroic mode. And in this heroic mode, you can replay the dungeon at the highest difficulty setting that they have created. So in essence, every dungeon you can play 3 times in different ways. You start out your adventure with one party member, and quickly you unlock the second and the third, etc, etc, and your total squad can contain up to 5 characters. Apart from these 5, you can have multiple characters sitting on your bench waiting for the next dungeon for their turn to come. From the moment you enter a dungeon, you cannot swap between your current party and your bench. In total, I have managed to unlock 10 characters, including your main character that you start with. And that brings a lot of variation to the game and some really interesting matchups. Because obviously, as it is an RPG, every character comes with their own traits. Some of these characters have a really strong magical attack, with a lot of mana that they have at their disposal, while others are just tanks with a lot of armor and a lot of strength, so you might want to put them at the front line. Then there is of course the healer, the archer, and so on and so forth. Depending on the challenges that you want to complete, you might want to swap out characters between your current party and your bench. The goal for each of these dungeons, no matter big or small, is always the same: find the exit. And on your way to finding the exit, you might need keys, or you might need teleportation mirrors, or there might be traps for you hidden in the dungeons, as well as numerous enemies. And in addition to all of this, there are events that might help you or might harm you depending on the situation. Some of these battles are really easy and go real fast, while others will take a lot of time and you might end up losing, and then you'll have to do that dungeon again. As I said before, these characters come with their own traits and their own abilities. And each of these characters have abilities that they can use inside the dungeons but outside of battle, and during battle play as well. and some of their abilities can only be unlocked through these skill trees, which are also unique depending on the character. In order to fine-tune the character just the way you want them to be, you can equip all sorts of items and gear, including helmets and armor and shoes, weapons. Some can even carry up to 2 weapons. Then there's a single-handed weapon, double-handed weapon, there's a ring, there's an amulet, a belt, a shield. There is so much for you to do in this game, and I love that stuff. I love the more statistics, the more items there are, the greater fun I have. And after every dungeon that you finish, you can head over into the shop, which is outfitted with new stuff for you to buy or sell if you want to. And when you finish with the shop, at least that is the way I do it, I go over and craft myself some new gear. And as you keep on crafting stuff, you will level up in that specific branch. For example, if you craft a new pair of boots, you'll see that the experience for your shoemaker will be increased, and by leveling up, you will be able to unlock new things for you to craft. This entire system, from the overworld to the dungeon to the actual battles inside the dungeon, from the items and the abilities to the skill tree to the shop and the craftsman, that works so well. And then on top of that, you have that 3-tier dungeon rushing, in which you rush to the dungeon, which you complete the challenges and then finish the heroic mode. All of this made me so excited that I kept playing this game for way too many hours, until I finally hit my breaking point. And that is why I have such a gripe with this game. After finishing the first 6 dungeons in the desert, the game crashed. Something that is really rare with Switch games in my experience, but it happened. So of course I booted the game again, went back into the campaign, only to find out that the last 5 dungeons that I've played were gone. And not only my 5 dungeons were gone, the experience that I've got, the equipment that I've built and bought were all gone. So, frustrated as I was, I did it again. And I managed to clear the next 6 or 7 dungeons. I saved the game, went back to the main menu, and shut down my Switch. The next day when I picked it up again, guess what? The last 6 dungeons were gone again. And of course the experience points were gone, the equipment was gone, and I was faced with the same issue. And note that this time there was not even a crash. The game simply seemed to forget to save. Now, being a patient man, I went back and did it for the 3rd time. And that too for the 3rd time in 2 days, which was really getting annoying at this point because I like replayability. I don't mind redoing a dungeon, but only out of choice. And definitely not to regain the equipment, which will be different every time you play through it, or the experience that I've already built, skills that I've unlocked, etc. So having experienced this 2 times already, I was sure there was some mistake in the save system, and at this point I feared that if I were to switch to any other game, which I'm reviewing at the time, I would have to do this again. So I made sure to clear at least 10 dungeons ahead. So I finished those dungeons, and of course I unlocked the mummy again, and I went on ahead, closed the game, started the game the next day again, and you guess it was gone again. At this moment I was ready to quit the game. I really had it. But the thing is, I'm reviewing this game, and as a reviewer I feel obliged to finish a game. Not only for the developer who was kind enough to send me that review copy, but also to you guys, because you guys should be correctly informed. So after taking off some considerable time, I went back into it. I didn't put the Switch down. I finished everything till the boss battle, at least so I thought. I finished the boss battle, and to my surprise, the game just kept on. I mean, there was the next dungeon and the next, until I found the second final dungeon, the true one this time. At this point in time, I was really rushing those dungeons, for I had done them 4 or 5 times by now. I lost count, I was frustrated, and I just wanted to complete this game. So, my final battle with the boss, guess what happened? The game crashed. The game crashed once again, but this time in the very last battle of the game. fearing for the worst, I immediately started the game again, and this is what I got. This is no trickery. This is a screenshot I took just before I went into the battle, and this one is one of the actual battle, and the one you're seeing right now is the one that showed up after going into the battle. And as you can see, more than 10 dungeons were gone again. Guys, this is unfortunately a game that I will not be able to finish. Be it technical reasons or at this moment insane frustration for a game that is in essence really good and really satisfactory. But having poured in already 25 precious hours into this game only to find out that I will never be able to finish it, that is just too much. And some of you might say, NintendoKid, how about you update your game to the latest version? I'm sure it must be patched out. It's not. I am using the latest version and I can't figure out why this keeps happening. But I definitely hope that if you have bought this game, that you were able to finish it. Because I will never know the true ending to this game. On a positive note though, as I don't like to finish on this negative tone, the game looks gorgeous. The artwork is really nice. In the music department, that I think they could definitely improve somewhat with the fluidity between, say, the theme music inside battles and the music that goes on in dungeons. It seems to be cut too abruptly. The same could be said for some loading screens. Overall, it could just use a little bit of brush up. On the whole, it is a really decent package. The game is priced for only $15, which is as low as it gets for a game that's really well if this game is patched out properly. Guys, drop a comment in the section down below if you own this game, if so, if you were able to finish it. And please do let me know how it ends. I'm currently working on some more RPGs, including Hand of Fate 2, which should be out soon. So subscribe to the channel to make sure you won't miss it. Like the video if you do. If you don't like the video, hit the dislike button, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.